Indiana has been on track to redistrict based upon census information. So every 10 years, we get a new portrait of what our districts look like. When we did the work in 2020, based on the census of this decade, this past decade, Senate leaders, House leaders, majority leaders all said, these are good maps. They are well apportioned. They work for Hoosiers. And it was then all recommendations from outside of the state of Indiana to redistrict. So as I looked at that request, I considered it. I considered the constituents who reached out to me. And I did vote with the majority of my party in the Republican Senate. I did vote with the majority. Had the opposing party not even cast a vote, the effort still would have failed. So I was in the majority of my Republican Party, looking at all of the consequences of midterm redistricting, and I listened to the people I represent. I stand by that vote. I believe it was the conservative vote because it was based upon work that was lauded as these maps work, these maps are fair. And these maps give us a true snapshot of opportunity within the state to have representation. I just strongly believe in fairness of elections, meaning that elections have consequences, and it just goes beyond what I felt was acceptable electoral competition to change the maps in midstream when we had no new constituent information about demographics where people live. Didn't feel it was the right thing to do. I think it reflects on what I consider a party characteristic, but also a personal characteristic, that voting should be free and fair. There's always going to be charges of taking advantage of majority power in order to give advantage to the majority party. And I will not say that there's not already some of that in the current maps, but myself and my colleagues in the Republican caucus felt like this was bad for Republicans. It was bad for our constituents. And I can tell you stories that I can't tell you, that I've had that confirmed over and over again from a wide variety of Republicans, people who consider themselves independent, all tell me, and strong supporters of the President of the United States, and strong supporters of his policies, that have said this just goes too far. I had one reach out to me who's an elected official in my district who said, I really think you're going the wrong direction. I said, you're welcome to your opinion. I'm sorry you feel that way. Was really disappointed with me. And that individual took the time to actually watch some of the testimony that I sat and heard in Senate Elections Committee. And he notified me back that next day, you know what, Greg, I was wrong. I heard your reasons for not supporting midterm redistricting. Strong conservative Republican, strong conservative Trump supporter who said, you're doing the right thing. Keep doing what you're doing. I support you 100%. I'll say I agree in part and I disagree in part. What happens to so many Hoosiers is that their home is their primary asset for retirement, or at least accumulating wealth, let's put it that way. And as that primary asset, we keep going back. We're not only taxing the incremental growth of the value of the asset, because I can pay taxes on what's called an unrealized gain, depending upon the growth of an investment that I have. We are taxing the unrealized gain, and we're taxing the base of that asset with property taxes year after year. I think for part of us to consider what this means in terms of true reform is to recognize that principle that applies to other class of assets and try to work that into our homes, especially for those who are of more moderate means. And this is not only their primary means of accumulating wealth, it may be their only means of accumulating wealth is home ownership. But I think there is room to explore that, and I want to keep talking about how we value the uniqueness of this being not only your private residence, but also being your chief asset maturity instrument. So every time there's a debate in the state house, local control can work in your favor or your disfavor. And I have seen, and I've probably done it myself, legislators flip sides all the time on that argument based upon how they want to argue a particular piece of legislation. I try always to go towards local control. And 1001 was one that really, after a lot of massaging, I did ask a question of a Senate sponsor. Is there anything in this bill that you couldn't do at the county level without us intervening? And his straight up answer was no. And it had become a toxic topic by that point anyway. But I said, all right, then I won't support it. There's no reason to put any more reporting regulation. And again, it's just it comes and goes as a topic. I think when it comes to safety, when it comes to protecting people that may not have, the law needs to protect everyone equally. And there may be issues that there's not equal protection under the law, and we see exceptions where some communities are not honoring that. That's an area where I can go against local control. I think that those kind of positions should be statewide positions, but that's more in the criminal area than it would be in again a lot of the zoning or even economic development areas. Again, every town is unique, and I think those decisions are best done when local. We did a little tweaking this year that says if you can run a home delivery, home-based childcare, this is going against local control. But if you have a homeowners association, excuse me, that says we won't allow any childcare in the area, I think there is a broader public principle that can override that kind of choice in terms of neighborhood. I don't know how that is going to impact my property values as long as they're not erecting, 20-foot jungle gyms in the backyard or something for the kids to play on. But again, a home daycare is a regulated entity already. It's not going to become a Kids R Us or a commercial site by being integrated in our neighborhood. We've offered tax credits and extended additional tax credits for businesses that are willing to provide that as a fringe benefit. So I think tax credits for participation is probably the best we can go. And then just still kind of a local issue. There are sometimes zoning questions about where a child care facility, if it's near a busy workplace, that could be bad, that could be good. But I think that has to be a local decision on where you put that. I wouldn't want a child care on the edge of a busy highway or something like that, just for safety reasons. I think the debate continues on whether child care is a public good or whether it's a private good. We see the public impact, and so some of us want to lean that to being a public good, but I think the demands of the economy are different than my generation too. And the realistic expectations are we have more diversity of home structure that doesn't have the same solutions that it did for childcare years ago. And so I think we're still trying to figure out our total response to that.